Hi, I'm Jeff Walters, and welcome to The Minutes. And thanks for listening today. It's great to have you along on The Minutes for the week of May the 6th, 2024. This is a City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes takes a look at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council this past week. On this episode, we'll have a rundown of what happened at this week's City Council meeting and two interviews this week. One is with Jason Sherband, talking about changes to the curbside recycling program in Thunder Bay, and another with Amy Coomes about the city's asset management plan and how its goal is to make our city a better place to live. But first, though, Council approved a number of contracts at its meeting last night. One contract, valued at over $2 million, is to replace sidewalks on Elm Street, County Boulevard, Valleywood Crescent, Junot Avenue North, Arthur Street West, Donald Street East, and Redwood Avenue West. As part of this contract, new sidewalks will also be installed on Toledo Street, Frederica Street West, Leland Avenue, and Gordon Avenue. 3 new pedestrian crossovers will also be installed. They'll be at Valley Street and Hutton Park Drive, Junot Avenue North at Mellon Street, and Walsh Street at Tarbot Street. 28 bus pads will also be installed at bus stops across the city. Some of the projects are funded by the provincial and federal governments. Naden Contracting will do about $2.4 million of sewer and water work this year on Poplar Avenue and College Street. The work on Poplar Avenue will run from Windsor Street to Maple Street. It includes replacing water lines, rebuilding the road, and replacing the curbs and gutters, sidewalks, and streetlight ducts. The work on College Street will take place between Hebert Street and Van Norman Street. The sewer and water lines will be replaced, the road repaved, and some spot repairs will be done to curbs and sidewalks. Mene Brothers Contracting will do about $3 million worth of work replacing sewer and water lines and resurfacing the road on Richard Street, Current Avenue, Current Bay, and Balmoral Street. The work on Richard Street, Current Avenue, and Current Bay should alleviate the numerous water main failures in the area and will also loop the water main, which will result in better water quality. The work on Balmoral Street includes full reconstruction of the road from Victoria Avenue to Miles Street. It also includes separating the existing sewer and installing a new storm sewer. This is the last combined sewer in the city. Part of the work under this contract means removing sidewalks on one side of the street on Balmoral and on Current Bay. This is in line with the city's standards for sidewalks and should provide some long-term savings for the city in operations and also in capital costs. Another contract, just under $1 million of hot-in-place asphalt paving, was approved by Council on Monday night. Pioneer Contracting will do the work, which involves taking up a layer of pavement, heating it up, adding in some new material, and placing it back down in one continuous operation. The streets that will get the paving done include Arthur Street West, John Street Road, and Empire Avenue. Thunder Contracting will do about $1.2 million in work to rebuild the parking lot and improve drainage at the Mountvale Boat Launch. The job also includes rebuilding some multi-use trails at Dick Waddington Park and improving trail lighting at that park. At Mountvale, the boat launch and the dock, though, will not be touched as part of this contract. Thunder Contracting will also do about $1 million of work at George Burke Park and near the marina. The work at George Burke will use 2 of the salvaged bridge girders from a bridge on Edward Street. The 2 girders will be used for a pedestrian bridge over the McIntyre River, and it will connect multi-use trails. Some trails in poor condition will also be rebuilt at George Burke Park. Along Marina Park Drive, the east shoulder of the road will be widened, and relocating hydropoles and steel beam guide rail will also take place. A portion of that work is funded by Infrastructure Canada. Council heard on Monday night how the city will no longer be responsible for the curbside recycling program as of July the 1st. The province is going to a model where recycling costs are covered by the companies that produce waste. In Thunder Bay, Circular Materials will manage recycling for the city, with GFL continuing to pick up recycling at the curb. A new automated cart system will start on that date, with blue bags no longer accepted as of July the 1st. The carts will start to be delivered to homes as of this week. The city's 3 recycling depots on Mountvale Avenue, Front Street, and at the Maple Ward Road solid waste facility will remain in place until the end of 2025. We'll hear more about this plan when Jason Sherband, the manager of solid waste and recycling, joins us in just a couple of minutes. Council approved Phase 2 of the city's asset management plan on Monday night. The plan, which is mandated by the province, is designed to provide sustainable services by knowing the cost of providing and maintaining each asset owned by the city. It's a wide-ranging list and includes bridges, roads, buildings, and vehicles, along with equipment and land improvements, just to name a few of the items. This phase of the plan also includes all assets with a value of more than $10,000 or a pooled value of $50,000. The current infrastructure gap of about $32 million means the city needs to spend $32 million more in maintenance than it does right now to maintain items to an acceptable level, or that items don't get maintenance when they need it. The next phase of the plan will include creating a financial plan on how to deal with the infrastructure gap, along with creating a level of service for each item in the asset management plan. The report notes that while there is no immediate spend required from this report, in the future, the city will have to spend more to maintain what it owns. The third phase of the plan is due in July of next year. Council received a number of updates on how the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund will be used in Thunder Bay, which resulted in a lengthy discussion. The money will be used to create incentives for multi-unit and affordable housing, encourage additional units like basement suites and backyard homes, create the position of an affordable housing navigator, look at the zoning bylaw to see if commercial properties and buildings could be turned into residential, create more housing in the downtown core areas, create various planning studies to encourage development on city-owned lands, and look at assessing industrial land that could be used for residential development. The $20 million from the federal government is given to the city in 4 lump sums. The first 3 sums are tied to the action plan, which was originally approved by council last summer. The fourth sum of money is contingent on the city meeting its housing targets. The purpose of the funding is to help support the creation of new housing in Thunder Bay. Through funding and planning, it could help develop nearly 1,700 units across the city. This year, $1.5 million of the funding will be used for an affordable housing rental program, so not-for-profit corporations can provide new affordable housing units. The program will be available by the end of September of this year. Administration's goal is to have a minimum of 38 units funded through this program. Council also approved changes to the terms of the Community Improvement Plan as part of the Housing Accelerator Fund. The changes will be in place until February of 2027 and will provide a grant of up to $20,000 for a single-bedroom unit, $30,000 for 2 or more bedrooms, and up to $100,000 per property. The Community Improvement Plan is in place for the downtown core areas, along with Westfort. $370,000 in CIP funds are available this year, about half of which comes from the federal government, the other half from carry-forward funds from previous years. And finally, Council approved an agreement with Enbridge, the natural gas company serving Thunder Bay. The franchise agreement is between the city and the gas company and allows the company to distribute natural gas throughout the city. It also allows the company to have gas lines on city land and access to other infrastructure. And that's a wrap as to what happened at Council this week. For more information on anything that happens at Council, please visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. You might not think much of it, bagging up your paper and your cardboard and then your plastics and your glass and hauling it to the curb every second week. Recycling in Thunder Bay, though, is about to change in a big way starting this July. It includes the addition of auto carts for recycling and the city no longer being responsible for administering the recycling program. Jason Sherband is the manager of solid waste and recycling services in the city. Jason, thanks for coming into the Minute Studio.
Yeah, thank you, and good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So there are some big changes coming to recycling, as I mentioned. What are the changes that are taking place?
Yeah, so on July 1st of this year, the city will transition its residential recycling program, so the current Blue Bag program as we know it today, to what we call full producer responsibility. So, a lot of people will be like, what does that mean? So the producers of paper products and packaging, so think of a pop can, think of, a juice bottle, plastic bottle. So the folks that manufacture those products are now 100% responsible, not only operationally, but financially for the program here in Thunder Bay, and eventually all the municipal recycling programs across the province. So a significant change in responsibility from the city to producers.
And I guess, how is this different from what we have right now? So the city is just responsible for everything at the moment?
Yeah, so right now it's actually a 50-50 split on the financial piece. So producers pay 50%, the municipalities pay 50%, but we have full operational control, right? So we're the ones out there providing the service, whether the municipality does it or they contract it out like the city does. So a significant shift in that regard. So think about promotion and education to residents, collection, processing of materials, all now falls to producers. The great thing in the city, though, is that the organization responsible for administering the common collection system across the province, they're called Circular Materials, but they've actually contracted GFL Environmental, so the city's current service provider, to continue providing that service into the community. So those same line grain trucks are still going to keep going up and down the streets past July 1. So at least that will remain consistent for residents.
But it's going to change a bit too, because there's auto carts coming in. I guess what exactly are auto carts?
Yeah, that's the significant change, right? So GFL Environmental is rolling out a new automated recycling cart system, which will replace the current blue bag system. So they're, for folks that don't know, it's essentially a large bin on wheels. These carts are a little unique in that they have a divider directly down the middle. So you can put your containers on one side and your paper products on the other. So that maintains the two-stream system that we currently have today. But yeah, it is certainly a significant change for how we collect at the curb.
And a lot of people online talking about, hey, I don't think these are going to be big enough. I've got a lot of recycling. I've got big families. What's your response to people who are saying, hey, this just isn't going to work for us?
Yeah, it's a fair question, because you do see sometimes a mountain of blue bags at the end of a driveway on collection day. But I've joked around in the office that these are Texas size carts, because they are quite large. So what I would tell people is that wait till the cart arrives, wait till you start using it, and then go from there. One of the other things that will remain consistent is any excess cardboard that you may have, you can still twine and bundle that and put it beside the cart, which is how that is collected currently. And obviously the 3 recycling depots are still operating in the city. So you can bring overflow material there as well.
And yeah, no changes to the recycling depots at this point?
No changes to the depots. The city is still going to own all 3 residential sites, and GFL will be the operator of those. The city will lease those sites to them. So nothing will change from a resident perspective in using those sites.
When it comes to the carts, I know that some people are going to start to get them, fairly soon and in their yard or at the end of their driveway, but they can't use them just yet. Why is that? Yeah,
this is an important message, because the carts started getting delivered this week, and I think there are some people that were hearing already eager and have them filled and have them out. And so we really want to remind people that they cannot be used until July 1st. So when you get your cart, just store it in your yard somewhere. But really trying to emphasize, do not use your cart until July 1st.
And then after July 1st, what happens to all those blue bags that you might have saved up?
Yeah, so that's the other significant change, right, is with the introduction of carts, no more blue bags as of July 1st. So really want to get people and remind them to use those blue bags up. Don't be out there, stockpiling and buying bags if they're on sale. You want to sort of time it a bit and try to use them up before July 1st.
When it comes to the reason for doing this, I know it's a provincial thing,
Yep.
But are there any savings for the city? And is there any reason that this is a really good thing for the city to be not having to administer the recycling program?
Yeah, I call it sort of, it's interesting. It's bittersweet in a lot of ways. We started the program. We've been the caretaker of it since day one, and certainly really proud of some of the changes we've made over the last few years in expanding the program to include all the 1 to 7 plastics. So, I think we're handing the program off in a good place. We've got a program now that's got a list of acceptable materials that's on par, better than any community in this province. In terms of administering the program, we've got a lot of changes on the horizon, specifically, the food and organic waste program that the city must put in place. And so, a lot of our work and focus is shifting to that. And so I sort of think as, one replaces the other. We won't be fully out of, blue box or recycling. It's just the residential side that we're no longer responsible for.
And what about people who live in apartment buildings or multi-unit buildings? Lots of questions from them as well. How are they impacted?
Yeah, and they will transition as well, right? So that's that's a more difficult sector to transition typically. But GFL will be working towards transitioning multi-residential buildings either to carts or front-end bins. So if you use any of our recycling depots, the bins that are at those depots, those would be the style of bins that they would look to put at buildings, or if they can't, they would use carts. So that sector will transition as well. It'll take a little bit longer to transition that sector just to the complexity. But we will see both the residential and multi-residential side eventually transition.
You mentioned the green bins, I guess, or the organics. Lots of people looking forward to that. When is that all supposed to come online?
Yeah, so we're looking at over the next 2 years to move to an automated cart system for garbage, right? So putting your garbage in an actual automated bin as well. And then the development of a full new food and organic waste, or what we would call a green bin program. So, over the next 2 years, you would see the change on the garbage side to how you collect it, and then an actual organics program at the curb. So, you'll eventually, every resident will have 3 carts at the end of their driveway, right? One for recycling, one for garbage, and then one for organics.
It's funny because when I lived in Halifax years ago, this is exactly what they had. Yeah, so we're just going to what other cities have had for a few years already.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel here, right? And so even with the rollout of the recycling carts now, I mean, it's change. Some of us struggle with change, but we're not reinventing the wheel here with automated cart collection. It can work here, and I think for the most part, people will embrace this.
Are you excited to see these come out?
I am. I'm excited to see it. It's the first sort of leg of this, mass transition in terms of waste management services in the city at the curb, right? So this is sort of the first piece. This regulatory stuff, I've been working on this as long as I can remember. So to see this actually come to fruition provincially is pretty neat, just from working in the industry and all the policy work we've done behind the scenes. And then to see what this means at the curb, right? I think we've brought the recycling program as far as we can bring it. This is sort of the next phase, and moving away from bags and putting it into carts. I think it'll be sort of a top-notch system here once we get the carts going.
Jason, really appreciate you coming in today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Jason Sherband, he is the manager of solid waste and recycling services in Thunder Bay, and he joined me here in the Minute Studio. Roads, bridges, buildings, and vehicles, they're all assets, and they're all owned by the City of Thunder Bay. This week, City Council heard about the Asset Management Plan, a roadmap on how to maintain all of the assets that the city owns. Amy Coomes is a project manager of the Asset Management Program. Amy, thanks for joining me in the Minute Studio.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Appreciate you coming in today. So let's start off with the very basics here. What exactly is an asset management plan?
Okay, so an asset management plan is all about taking a look at the services that we provide as the city and what assets we own in order to provide those services. Then we want to take a look at, what condition our assets are in, how old they are, where they are in their life cycle. So what maintenance, rehabilitation, disposal activities that need to happen or maybe renewal, and then taking a look at how much is it going to cost us in order to do those life cycle activities. And how much money do we need to maintain those assets and in the level of service that they're in, and then taking a look at annually what budget is given to those assets and determine how much either short or surplus we are for that asset.
So pop quiz for you. Do you know how much in assets the city has?
It's hard to say, so I can't put a definite, we have 41,000 assets because we have, our roads are broken up into certain lengths that we would do as we renew them. Sometimes we might renew multiple lengths all at one time. And so the contract would be for one multiple lengths, but that's, 4 asset groupings that we put together for that contract. So a little bit hard.
And I might throw in the tough questions here asked, right off the top of your head. Do you know what the value of the assets are for the city right now?
Absolutely. So we value our assets based on our replacement cost. So replacement cost can be, taking the asset, how much we paid for it originally when we, put it into service, and then putting consumer price index on that to today's value. Or we have subject matter experts that take a look at our bid analysis for the contracts that we're putting out right now, and then we make that into a unit cost so that we can get a really good idea of what it's actually going to cost us to replace, say, a road or a bridge or a culvert, that kind of thing. So we have those different ways of valuing our assets. And right now we have all of our assets combined are $4.8 billion.
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's it. So I was expecting like $1 billion or something like that, not 4.8. So the plan, though, overall says that we're short about $30 million or so a year in maintenance. What exactly does that mean?
So that means essentially there are assets out there that are not getting the proper maintenance, rehabilitation, and renewal requirements when they need it. So if we are able to, invest earlier on in the asset's life to be able to extend its useful life, we can get a lot more life out of it. If you think about it with your car, if you never do an oil change, that car is probably not going to last you that long, right? So we need to make sure that for all of our assets and all of our different asset types that we understand, what life cycle activities are required and how we can make best use of our investments on those assets. So we might have assets that are in very poor condition that need complete replacement, but we can't forget about the assets that are in good condition that we need to invest in to maintain that good condition so that they don't fall into very poor condition.
And are there any areas that have a bigger maintenance deficit than others?
Absolutely. Our roads definitely has one of the largest infrastructure deficits. As we have the weather to deal with. We have freeze-thaw cycles and a very large road network here in Thunder Bay that we have to deal with.
Besides roads, because I think that's the obvious one, right? When you think of a city asset, you probably think of a road. Is there anything else beyond roads that's kind of close for condition issues?
So our facilities, definitely, we're an aging community. We've got quite a few facilities that are aging and that need quite a bit of work. We have a backlog of component renewals, so the components within the facilities that need to be updated, and that plays into the condition of our facilities. So facilities are kind of a hard one. It's not just one asset, right? There's a ton of components that make up that asset, so we need to take a look at what the components in that facility, the condition they're in, and try and renew those in order to have a good condition.
So that would be like, if you're looking at an arena, the arena might be in good shape, but it needs a new air conditioning system or a new heating system or something like that.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, your HVAC systems, your roofing, the site works outside the building might need some work. Yeah. So
this is the second phase of the asset management plan. What did the second phase do that the first one didn't? So
the first one was a snapshot I believe it was a 2020 values, and that took a look at our roads, bridges, culverts, water, wastewater, and stormwater assets. So that was just our core assets that was mandated by the province to look at. And this phase 2 takes a look at every asset across the entire corporation that meets our tangible capital asset policy threshold, which is $10,000 in asset value for individual assets or $50,000 in value for pooled assets.
So you covered then phase 1 and phase 2. What comes up in phase 3? So
phase 3 is kind of where asset management gets interesting. So this is where we kind of look at what level of service are we providing right now, and is that what is our target level of service? What is our proposed levels of service that we want to provide in the future in order to be able to sustainably manage our assets now and setting up the next generation to be able to have good assets in the future. So this is where we're going to look at what are all of our life cycle strategies that we can do to sustainably manage. We're going to do a life cycle management and a financial strategy. So even though our asset management plan is being done in 3 phases, so phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, which is the financial strategy, asset management doesn't end after that. We're continuously renewing things. We're continuously dealing with emergency situations. So we're constantly updating our data, and we cannot let that go, because as soon as you stop updating your data, the asset management plan is just a point in time, and you cannot continuously use that for planning going forward. So we really need to make sure that we're constantly updating our condition values, getting new information about the contracts that are going out and being done and what is being renewed, and keeping updating with our data.
So just curious about one thing that you said there, which was level of service, determining level of service. I know people can kind of think about that when you think of like how often your street is plowed or how often garbage shows up. What do you mean though in that sense when it comes to assets? What would a level of service be?
Absolutely. So what you mentioned there with plowing is a level of service for our plows. So those are the assets that provide that service, right? So with our roads, we want to think about how much road we have, how is it connected, what condition is it in, are citizens satisfied with that? When there's maintenance being done, are we giving enough notice to the citizens about that upcoming maintenance that's going to occur?
So yeah, it's not necessarily just about the point in time. It's a bit more than that.
Absolutely. So we've got the community levels of service. So those are the ones that I mentioned. How much do we have? What condition is it in? And then we've got technical measures of service, levels of service that measure more technical parameters that our staff can take a look at and keep track of.
Okay, yeah. So things that I definitely wouldn't understand being a layperson. Amy, I appreciate you coming in today. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Amy Coomes, she is a project manager of the Asset Management Program for the City of Thunder Bay. She joined me here in the Minutes studio. And a big thanks for listening to the Minutes this week. Of course, if you want more information about City Council, agendas, or minutes, just visit thunderbay.ca/council. If you want to listen to past episodes or maybe provide some feedback, visit thunderbay.ca/the minutes. You can also find the minutes wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Apple, Google, and Amazon podcasts, along with Spotify, plus our website as well. I'm Jeff Walters. Thanks for listening this week. We'll chat again next week. Make it a great day.